You are watching the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the Clutch Drop Cup Series. Tonight, we are at the halfway point of this season. We are at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for 120 laps of action around this very, very fast 2-mile oval. And we welcome you inside the booth. I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside of me, as always, Mr. Samuel Dyer. Sam, it's going to be a really fun one tonight, you know, with the way the fuel and tires are going to play out and just how fun this track is. These guys are going to surely put on a show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we got a sense of what Auto Club is like a couple of weeks back at Michigan, and it's going to carry forward to here. It's about the draft, how your fuel and tire strategy is going to work out, and how well can you make some moves here. Auto Club is a very fast 2-mile course here, and it's going to be really tricky to see how these drivers can find their way through traffic. And with some of these newer drivers that came in and going to be trying their best here during the ovals, we haven't gotten to see what the PRM Motorsports guys of Tyler Riggs and Joseph Causey have, as well as we have another debut driver here and Kevin Morin. And we're excited to see what that 115 is going to do. Going to be starting the back half of the field. But, you know, certain drivers, we've been seeing a lot of quick machines coming in these last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. It is going to be a lot of fun to watch tonight as everyone continues to grid. We'll give you your starting lineup for tonight. It's a luminary front row. Bronson Stafford laying down a time that over his teammate Robert Kenny of about 11 hundredths of a second between them two on the front row. But Bronson does get the edge. Tyler Riggs, as you mentioned, he is rolling off behind him in row 2 with another luminary car in Tom Bourne. And then Justin Munsell, luminary affiliate, he rolls off 5th with Joseph Causey, Tyler Riggs' teammate, there in the top 6. So a lot of speed up there at the front. The rest of the top 10, Shane Terrian, Philip Scott, Travis Daly, and David Duran round out your top 10. Rest of the grid will roll on the bottom of your screen as these guys get ready to roll off. Again, we're looking at about 30 laps before these tires just start to fall apart. What is going to be the key tonight for these guys to have just a really good race, and will strategy be a big part of this?
Strategy is really going to be a big key here. It's going to be about figuring out when you want to come in, when you want to get tires. Your drivers focusing on pointing their way into the playoffs or winning to get in. If you're thinking about winning to get in, I think you're going to be more focused on saving your tires until the stages to get the freshest rubber so you can really start to be out there. If you're looking for point your way into the playoffs, you're going to get fresh tires when you come into the pits around lap 30 here if we go green through stage 1 and 2. Now, that's the key thing for these drivers. Do we stay green? Auto Club's been notoriously known for tightening up for some of these drivers. How well have you made your car loose and stay loose the longer the run goes on? Or is your car even too loose to run? We're going to find out here as it's going to be 120 laps. The end of stage 1, it's at the end of lap 35. Excited to see how these drivers are going to go as we're getting ready to go green.
Bronson Stafford and Robert Kenny are about to get the ball rolling here as the pace car will make the hard left-hand turn into the pit lane. We are at the halfway point, as we mentioned, folks. Just a few more races until we are playoff driving for these drivers. We're glad you're with us on the Flatout Racing Network. Green flag is in the air. Bronson Stafford and Robert Kenny hit the line, and they are green in Fontana. A good start as they are going to get ready to fan out 3 and 4 wide. You're going to get used to this, folks, the rest of the night as the luminary guys side by side as Tyler Riggs and Shane Terrian nearly make contact. Terrian loose. Oh my goodness, he saved it.
I don't know how he saved it. Shane Terrian was thinking, I need to go now. Jumping from that 4th row all the way up to the 2nd and just a straightaway into these corners. But it's going to be Robert Kenny able to pull away. Tom Bourne thinking about making a pass here as Bronson Stafford going to be fading up on the inside as Philip Scott to his outside. But it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers move because just like at Michigan, we saw the luminary guys having been about 3 cars row deep and not really allowing anyone to make any passes. Who's going to be able to make the passes as they're side by side back for 6th place?
Robert Kenny does take lap 1. Tom Bourne, his teammate, right in his tire tracks in second. Joseph Causey up there in third. Bronson Stafford, the pole sitter, now under fire from Tyler Riggs, but Tyler Riggs is under fire from a pairing of Justin Munsell and Philip Scott, as here comes the 98 of Munsell 3 wide into turn number 3, and he is going to make it work. Let's see who has the better run between him and Scott. It's going to be the 98 Tahoe machine, and he will roll into the 5th position. A very fast top 5 right now as they hit the line. Kenny leading another lap.
Yeah, they're going to be staying here as in line just for a little bit. Philip Scott going to be trying to get under that 98 machine of Justin Munsell. Justin got the win last week at the Roval and now going to be trying to double down on getting another win. But Philip Scott going to be staying on the inside as they're still scattering behind them around that 9th and 10th position, where you've got yourself Dylan Stipe, Matt Dyer, as well as Allers all around one another.
Landon Allers trying to crack into the top 10 here, getting around Dylan Stipe. Travis Daly, he's won a couple stages this season. He's trying to get up there into the top 10 and maybe get some valuable stage points. Still a far away from that, though. Dylan, contact between Landon Allers and Travis Daly as they head to turn number 1. They both save it, but near disaster on the outside of the top 10.
Yeah, some of these drivers are really pushing it as here comes Caleb Smith up the middle, trying to split both those drivers. Also, Shane Terrian going to be coming on the inside, trying to make some passes here on the NSM guys. But right now, still 3 wide action for that 12th place position. But Shane Terrian, he's been trying to make a move forward, but Nathan Hall, as well as Aller, still trying to loom strong here in the middle of the pack.
The reason why Terrian's probably not able to make as much passes as Duran goes way to the bottom of the apron at the bottom of your screen. He's got to deal with a little bit of slower traffic, and so he's now going to get challenged also by the 89 of Brandon King, but he gets the 2-for-1 special, getting around the 33 and the 28. The 33 drove it up a little hard, thought he was going to get up into the 28 of Hall, but they keep it going as this is the biggest battle on the racetrack right now. Still up front, Robert Kenny taking care of business here on lap 5. Here comes Tom Bourne to the inside, making a crossover move on his teammate as they head towards the front stretch.
Tom Bourne trying to get a lap lead to try to help him out, possibly get a bonus point here. And then you've got Joseph Causey coming in. And also, you're starting to see Tyler Riggs. He's moved up in our top 6. But right now, it's Tom Bourne on the inside of his teammate, and Causey thinking about an F5 machine, possibly splitting the middle, but just stays below, following in the suit of Tom Bourne on the inside.
On board with the number 26 of Tyler Riggs at Riggs Personet Motorsports. Joseph Causey now all over the back bumper of the 54. You see it there on your screen as the 54 going to clear his teammate once again. He did beat him at the line, so give some bonus points to Tom Bourne. But the 5 of Joseph Causey, he's going to creep to the inside here. Might think about the lead. He's going to bring the pole sitter Stafford with him. It's a train of 5 cars on the inside line as lap 7 goes on the board. To the outside goes the 61 of Stafford. Contact as Stafford gets into the wall. Contact with the 5 of Causey, but they keep it going through the corner. And I think it actually helped Bronson Stafford because he's now to the inside of the 5.
Yeah, it caused everyone to back up, and it really caused Robert Kenny to back up, and Matt Dyer ran into that 34 machine. A little bit of front end. I believe that's some front right damage for that of Matt Dyer, as well as a little bit of right-left damage to that 34 machine. As Dyer getting into Munsell a little bit there. Robbins racing in these stock cars as Bronson Stafford into the pits early, and they have to pit. This is when the window is opened up for these drivers. From here on out, Bronson Stafford can make it to the end.
Stafford, the only taker of the 21 cars that took the green flag. Justin Belmonte did not lay down a qualifying time, was in the server, but is not going to look like he's going to show up today as we have a lead change at the front. Here comes Tyler Riggs in the number 26, trying to bring his teammate Joseph Causey with him, and then Matt Dyer has a deck lid full of the 98 of Justin Munsell. They're going to battle here, but Dyer wins that little short-lived battle as they roll through 3 and 4, and they hit the line. Lap 8 will come off the board, and 9 will be thrown up on to the scoring pylon.
Yeah, Tyler Riggs and Joseph Causey. This is the first time we've seen both these drivers being able to get up front. Well, last time we saw them was last week for their debut at the Roval, showing they've got a lot of speed here at the ovals. And from here on out, it's only ovals to the playoffs, and once we're in the playoffs. So he's showing a lot of strength here for these drivers. And now we're seeing some competition from a lot of these machines. There is one driver that we do not see. We didn't see him last week either. Garrett Powell still having some wheel issues, and we're not sure when we're going to be seeing that 87 machine come back. Was on top of the board points-wise, but we still don't know when he's going to come back, Carlos, and that's a big loss for some of these drivers.
And if he does not come back, that opens the door for Mike Tellier to take over the quote-unquote points lead in both the playoff standings and just your regular standings. So this is going to be a plus for him. As for Tellier right now, trying to look through the field here and try to find him. He's
all the way in 20th.
Deep in the field, all the way in 20th by himself there in that number 3 Chevy. So I don't know if something happened on the racetrack that we didn't see, but he is incredibly off the pace, 2.5 seconds behind 19th place right now, which is the debuting 115 of Kevin Moore.
Yeah, I've been looking at Tellier from the start. He started in the back of the field. He dropped back early. I'm not seeing any damage on this 3 machine, but the way that he's so off the pace might be trying to save fuel to make it to where he doesn't even have to pit here.
Riding on board with the 3 of Mike Tellier. Basically, your points leader at this point, as lap 11 is now on the board. We're about 25 laps or so away from the end of stage number 1. It's the battle of, it's up front. It's the person at Riggs team, the 26 and the 5. Right there at the front. Look who's making some moves towards the front as well. It's the 20, Dylan Stipin. He's brought Brandon King with him. Both of them now were running just outside the top 10 at the start of this thing. They're now in the top 5, close for Brandon King. King's going to try to get to the inside there, but can't make the pass on Stipe. Stipe's now going to try and make the pass on Bourne, as Bourne slipped back to 4th after leading for a little bit, as he's now battling the 20 for that 4th spot.
Yeah, and right now you're starting to see the difference of drivers, who's got short run speed and who's really just trying to save their tires for after about 15 laps or so. That's around the 15 to 20 laps when we're going to be seeing tires extremely drop off. They've already dropped off a ton, over a second already from people's best lap times. So the tire wear is there. Who's got the long run setup? Because right now we're seeing that it's the PRM guys that are up front of Causey and Riggs, and now we're starting to see Brandon King and Stipe. Like you said, they're now starting to move up. Now both of them in the top 5.
King gets around both the 20 and the 54. As you see right there in front of your leader, new leader actually, Joseph Causey in the 5. It is the now last car on the lead lap, Bronson Stafford. Not sure what's going to happen here. It's not really going to matter if Stafford gets put a lap down, unless Mike Tellier somehow falls off the lead lap before the stage break. Stafford would get back on the lead lap, arguably one of the fastest cars out there on the racetrack, but he's riding right now in front of our 2 leaders, Joseph Causey, Tyler Riggs, Matt Dyer hanging in there in 3rd place. He's going to have Brandon King breathing down his neck, though. That 89 is on the move, Samus. Here he is to the inside.
Also coming into the pits is going to be Stipe, who comes in, but King, like you said, on the inside of Dyer, going to be pushing that 2 car up. Both Dyer and King looking to be some of the faster cars out here. They really, with their times that they've been putting down, they're faster than our front 2. It's just it's so difficult to make passes if you cannot get under the car that you're trying to pass.
You saw there Dylan Stipe also joined by the 24 of David Duran, who was running towards the middle of the pack. At the time of him ducking into the pits, they'll be able to get their service, and they'll make it to the end of the stage break. You see there, fuel only for everybody. Dylan Stipe, David Duran, and Bronson Stafford. 26 tried to put the block on the 89. It's not going to work. Here comes the 89 of Brandon King to try to break the PRM train here at the front. That 89 so fast right now, and it's showing that he's definitely got the long run speed. Had a really good run into the entrance at turn 1. May have thought about getting into the 5 of Joseph Causey, but he backs off, and he'll try to set up a pass in a little bit. But here comes Tyler Riggs right back down the back.
Tyler Riggs trying to do a crossover move, trying to get himself his first stage win points as well for Causey. They're both trying to get their first stage points. But right now, I'm looking at Brandon King. He has 2 stage wins so far this season, trying to make it 3, 4th in the points so far, just trying to point his way in. Hasn't gotten a win so far. The highest running driver without a win is Brandon King at the moment. So excited to see what this 89 car could do, because he is on the move and about to make a pass here on Causey. I think also got to watch out to see Bronson Stafford. He's ahead of the drivers right now, of our leaders right now, but if he goes a lap down, he'll be the first car 1 lap down, and once the stage comes out, he'll get that lucky dog and start at the end of the line.
Dylan Stipe is also just ahead of these guys as a couple more cars have pitted. I believe Shane Terrian, he's currently in the pits right now. He has completed his service and is done. Joseph Kazi now going to try and get around here. The 61, look at Brandon King. I thought he was going to make a move 3 wide. Ooh, thought about the middle, thought better of it. He just rides in the slipstream of the 5. Got to be careful with that left rear quarter panel. But the 89 now going to try and make a pass on the 5. But the 5 just too good there through the middle groove of turn 1 and 2, and he maintains the lead here on lap 17 as they head to the backstretch.
Yeah, the main issue there was that the fact that Keane did not have a good enough arc into the corner, and he was so far low that he had to back off, or he was going to plow up and run into Bronson Stafford. So Brandon King, he's trying to find that position where he can start moving down, but he's being pinched so hard by Bronson Stafford that he really can't get a good run out of the corner.
Interesting move right there out of the now lap car machine of Bronson Stafford. Just ahead of these guys is the 83 of Shane Terrian and the 20 of Dylan Stipe. So Bronson Stafford better hope over the next 17 or so laps that they do not go a lap down to the leader, Joseph Kazi, or else he is going to have to take the wave around and then start at the tail end. So this is going to be something to watch for to the end of this stage. In the meantime, not much shuffling has happened in the top 5. It's Kazi, King, Tyler Riggs, Matt Dyer, Tom Bourne, Justin Munsell. That's your top 6. Caleb Smith riding around in the 7th spot right now, 2.2 seconds off the leader. He is 7. Evan Coleman, he is in 8th. Spencer Hardison 9th, and right behind him, the 66 at NSM, Deshaun Gorham here in the top 10 here so far at Auto Club. Kazi continuing to pace the field as lap 19 on the board.
Yeah, it's going to be Landon Allers in the pits being another car in. So right now, we're looking to see when our top 15, when the rest of them are going to be coming into the pits, because we were told these drivers cannot make it to the end. But Mike Tellier still running off the pace of what our leaders have been running, and he is now starting to be one of the fastest cars on track because of how much he's been saving and now trying to make a push up to the lead. Only issue, he's almost 12 seconds back from our leaders and in no man's land, and looks like he might be in trouble if he ever comes into the pits. Might be the last car 1 lap down.
Battle for the lead. Here comes the 89 of Brandon King, but Kazi going to win the battle for the time being. The 34 of Robert Kenny was right around them, and Kenny just drove right by them to get back onto the lead lap. So the 34 now the last car on the lead lap as the 89 continues to try and hound this number 5 just to no avail for the last 3 to 4 laps or so as you're riding on board with the 89. Just hasn't been able to do anything. I don't know what else he can do as they're battling hard behind him, though. 3 wide with the lap machine of David Duran.
Yeah, you got Duran and Stafford left down by the 61, and then you also got Tyler Riggs, Matt Dyer, and Tom Bourne. They're all on the lead lap except for the 2 cars that just made contact. That is something you have to be aware of, is you cannot be racing this hard around lead lap cars. Now Justin Munsell going to try on the outside, trying to figure out how to get by the 24 and the 61. Yes, they are on the same tire compounds. They're not on new tires, and this is where the issue's coming in as Dyer scrubs up into Munsell a little bit there.
Oh my goodness, hard racing between lap traffic and between lead lap cars. I mean, I know you don't want to see the 24 racing lead lap cars so hard, but he's got a battle of his own. He's battling Bronson Stafford for the lucky dog spot right now as the 24 is going to get around the 61 for the moment. And if the caution were to come out right now, he would get that lucky dog spot and get back on the lead lap as another car is into the pits, the 2 of Matt Dyer.
Yeah, Matt Dyer, I think that was a smart move. Just get out of that situation. He was in the hornet's nest of all that chaos and almost got involved in that little bit of contact from the 24 and the 61. Now Justin Munsell going to be in between those drivers, scrubbing up. And really, it's that tightness feeling that you're starting to see from these drivers that get into the center of the corner and their car just doesn't want to turn.
He hurt him!
Tom Bourne, Justin Munsell teammates, and they spun going into the inside.
No caution thrown for the 98 of Justin Munsell, the Tahoe Toyota Camry. Oh my goodness, a tough break for him. Our winner from last week at the Roval, off the nose of teammate Tom Bourne on the back straightaway. My goodness.
And Tom and Munsell, I'm going to go back and rewatch that as we continue to watch this live action, but they both were trying to go down low, and that's just a lack of communication. As Tom just came in with a lot of momentum, but I'm going to take a different angle to see what exactly happened between those drivers. I mean, Tom kind of drifted up a little bit. It looked like his car kind of wiggled when he tried to go below Munsell, and that just caused the contact. Luckily, Munsell got the win last week. He's locked into the playoffs, but this is going to hurt that 54 machine.
He has ducked it into the pit lane at 60 miles an hour as he's going to likely fall one lap, if not 2 laps down to the leader, Joseph Causey. But, oh, my goodness, you hate to see it. Like you said, he's locked in to the playoffs. He has nothing to worry about in terms of that, but, you want to go out there and get as much playoff points that you can, and with a wreck like that, it is not going to happen, as he is going to obviously take, I don't know, he's not going to take tires, it looks like, even though he flat spotted them likely down the back stretch, but sitting in the pits, an extended stay for the 98 of Justin Munsell. At the front, Brandon King still trying to find a way to get around the 5 of Joseph Causey. It's like a moving pick in basketball, as Joseph Causey is. So the 89 has still yet to figure out how to get around him.
And Nathan Hall getting done with his service, getting out of there. Spencer Hardison now coming into the pits. I'm looking at Robert Kenny. We talked about how this 34 machine needed a lot of points before we went live. And Robert Kenny is doing exactly what he needs. Get a stage win. He went for fresh tires early, and now he is pushing his car, trying to get a big enough lead so when everyone comes to the pits, he can find himself up front and really try to get the stage win. As Joseph Causey blinked for a second as Brandon King got into him, it looked like. I don't know what happened to the 5 machine, but he is gone at the moment. We're looking and waiting to see if he comes back.
Still off on my screen, as well as Brandon King is, for the moment, the leader. Caleb Smith and Tom Bourne, they're both into the pits. Joseph Causey still has not reappeared. Something has definitely gone wrong internet-wise with the 5 of Joseph Causey, and if he is not able to come back, oh, what a tough break it would be for a guy that's been leading for at least the last 10 laps.
Yeah, and the way that his car just shot off and then blinked out, it looked like it might have been internet issues for the 5 machine because he ran right into the wall and then blinked away. Coming into the pits, Tom Bourne as well as Caleb Smith coming in, which leaves us with a total of 8 drivers that still need to pit so far.
Brandon King with the issues now happening to Causey. He is the new leader, owning a 3.666 second lead over the 26 of Tyler Riggs, Evan Coleman, Deshaun Gorham, Philip Scott, Kevin Morin, the debut driver, Travis Daly, and Mike Tellier, the only drivers, your top 8, that have yet to come down into the pits. We're getting down to the end of this stage. This has really flown by, Sam, as lap 27 is on the board. We are at the line. It'll be 8 laps to the end of stage number 1.
Yeah, I just saw what Joseph Causey has come back, and now he has dropped out. iRacing has taken him officially out of it. He did run into the wall and then drop out for that 5 machine because when he came back, he was inside the outside wall, and his car just broke on him. So Yellow is not out, but that 5 machine looks like he is done for the day. 3 machine spun it around, it looks like. Mike Tellier on the backstretch.
No caution thrown. He looks like he was all by his lonesome, so he's going to be off the racing surface in the breakdown lane there, heading through 3 and 4 right now. Just the struggling continuing for Mike Tellier. You would say it's been a slump for him. And, it wouldn't seem like it has been. He's got 3 wins on the season for that number 3, but lately it has just been a horrid season since getting that 3rd win. So he'll bring it into the pits, and he'll finally make his pit stop, leaving only the top 6 who have not pit yet. The debuter, Kevin Morin, into the pit lane, leaving us with only 5 drivers left to come down and make a stop.
And now Deshaun Gorham's going to be coming into the pits, and we're coming into that window. There were cars, if you weren't saving, you're going to have to be coming in here soon in the next 2 laps or so. And we're going to wait for Brandon King, Tyler Riggs, Evan Coleman, Philip Scott coming in, as Travis Daly going to be coming in with that 15 machine, leaving us with 4 drivers that still need to pit. And right now, Robert Kenny pulling away with over a 4.2 second over Matt Dyer, who Dyer looks like he'll be the car going into 2nd place, as these cars that pitted early, they've been getting a much better run because they're outside of the draft and outside of wearing down those tires as everyone else does. Brandon King, Tyler Riggs into the pits. Evan Coleman stays out.
You saw it on your screen, the 89 and the 26, and now the 8 of Philip Scott are into the pits, leaving us with just one man. That is Evan Coleman there in the number 51 green card today. He is going to be the last one to come in. Like we said, he cannot make it all the way to the end, even if you do save. So the 51 should come in due time, and that will hand the lead over to the 34 of Robert Kenny. As I'm watching the 51 here, he is going to make the duck in, and here we go. He will make the stop, and that will officially cycle everything around to the number 34 out of Luminary Racing and Robert Kenny.
Yeah, Robert Kenny, you might be wondering, how did he get such a big lead? He wasn't someone that was up front when he came into the pits. It's because he's the only driver that went for all 4 tires in his pit stop. And as you can see, over a 3-second gap lead, almost 4 seconds over King at the moment, and fresh tires. So important, even with the slight damage this 34 car has on that rear left.
So you see him here, he hits the line. It'll be 4 laps to go here in stage number 1. There you see it. He officially takes the lead away from Evan Coleman. That is going to cycle everything around. Brandon King is likely going to be 2 seconds off of our leader. It's not going to be enough to try and run him down. So Robert Kenny, what a drive for him so far, a 4th of the way through this thing. And you look at Robert Kenny in comparison to his teammates. You look at where they're everything in points. Shane Terrian, he has 2 wins. Justin Munsell has a win. Bronson Stafford has a win. And he is the only, outside of Tom Bourne, he is the other one who has not won a race this year. Luminary trying to pack the house, if you will, of the playoffs. There's 12 spots for the playoffs, and if you can get all of Luminary in there, there's about 5 or 6 spots that'll be all Luminary, and that'll be something to see if Robert Kenny can pull this off today. Still a long race to go, though. We're inside 90 laps to go overall. A lot can happen, but Robert Kenny looking pretty good right now to take stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, the last driver we saw that swept all the stages and got the win was going to be Garrett Powell back at Road America. So it takes a lot to win the stages, and it takes even more to actually win the race. You got to almost hit and be perfect everywhere you go. And right now, Robert Kenny looking solid for himself. Brandon King and Matt Dyer looking good as well. As you look back for the battle for 4th place, Tyler Riggs has over a 4/10 gap over Dylan Stipe, and then you got Shane Terrian there, and then you go back over a second. That's when you're having a real battle for 7th place. Tom Bourne, Evan Coleman, and Caleb Smith, they're all on top of one another, trying to figure out who's going to get the best bonus points here from 7th back to 9th place. Remember, only the top 10 get stage points. So David Durand is going to be the only person that really is going to have a challenge, but Spencer Hardison really not close enough to really challenge this 24 machine.
He's about 5/10 off of him, so it's not looking like the 14's going to catch the 24. So right there, that's your top 10. Kenny, King, Dyer, Riggs, Stipe, Terrian, Smith, Bourne, Coleman, and Durand. It'd just be a couple of shifting spots inside the top 10 as you see the battle here between the 25 and the 54 as Bourne is to the inside of that Old Spice Ford Mustang here into turn number 1. Should complete the pass through 1 and 2, and he will take the spot away. But Caleb Smith not really willing to back down from the 54 car out of Luminary as they're still side by side down the back.
Yeah, and they're willing to challenge as hard as they can, as long as they don't hit the wall or make any mistakes damage-wise. You got to make sure you're clean here. Tom Bourne already, we've seen him being involved with the 98 Justin Munsell earlier in this race. Justin Munsell, first car 1 lap down, right now hoping that everyone stays where they're at so we can get that lap back. Does have damage that he needs to get even more repairs on. Stayed in pit road, get those repairs done. Like we said, first car 1 lap down, should get that back at the end of this stage, as we are on the white flag of this stage, waiting for Kenny to cross the line.
Kenny on the back straightaway right now, owning over almost a 4-second lead over Brandon King. Robert Kenny, when he gets to the line here, step 1 complete to a win. He will have won stage number 1, 10 bonus points to him for the playoffs, and it's also going to be his first stage win of this season. As they come to the line, caution flag will fly for stage 1. Robert Kenny gets it done here in stage number 1. Brandon King, he'll roll out 2nd. Matt Dyer 3rd. Tyler Riggs 4th. Dylan Stipe hangs on for 5th as there's the caution. Evan Coleman's going to bounce all the way up to 6th with passing both Caleb Smith and Tom Bourne, who are 7th and 8th respectively. 9th, Shane Terrian, a good rebound after early trouble. And then David Durand gets the final spot. He held off Spencer Hardison for that 1 bonus point to the playoffs. As there's the number 34 Triple S Robert Kenny machine. Good run for him, Sam. This is something we're not off. He's been doing really well this season, running up front. Just hasn't really been able to close out a win. But this is a promising sight to see.
Yeah, has a couple of top 3 finishes for this 34 machine, and Robert Kenny trying to get as many points as possible. This was something that was talked about before this race of Robert Kenny from Luminary. He doesn't look like the favorite to win every race, but certainly has the speed and certainly has strategy, as you saw there. The only driver to go for tires in the middle of the stage, which allowed him to get the gap that he had and to get the stage win. We talked about Shane Terrian, how the fact that he made a pretty bold move. It looks like that 83 machine actually got loose through 3 and 4, coming to this yellow flag, and lost about 3 positions. So that's going to be hurting stage points wise, but he already has the win. Going to be moving on to the playoffs for Shane Terrian.
As these guys will start to cool it down and get set for this second stage, let's talk to our stage winner, number 34, Robert Kenny. Hey, Robert, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Strategy played out well for you there. You pit around lap 15, as we'll see you here coming into the pits. A big stage win for you, your first of the new season. How's it feel, man?
It feels really good. It's still a long way to claw my way into a playoff spot, but hopefully this is the first step to getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, Robert, coming into this race, the talk was that you needed as many points as you could. Stage points was looking like the way that you were going to go. Was it all at the start of today being like, okay, I need to get the stage wins, and then we'll try to focus on getting the win at the end of the day?
Yes and no. You always want to go for the stage win, but since we have, or not stage, the race win, but we have so few tires here this week. And,
As we're going to see Brandon King and I believe Matt Dyer also beat you off of pit lane. So, but actually, no, you did beat Dyer off pit lane. So you're going to restart to the outside of the 89 here, depending on which line he decides to go with here. So what's the mindset here for stage 2, Robert?
The mindset is going to be roughly the same, go about 10, 15 laps pit. I'm still trying to decide if I want to take tires or not, because you always want to have that one extra set for the last stage. But yeah, we'll just roll with the punches of the race. If something happens, something happens. But at least I've locked in a good 10 points tonight.
Alrighty, Robert. Best of luck to you in this second stage. If you take it, we'll talk to you then.
All right. Have a good night, fellas.
You see the race off the pit lane. Brandon King just pulling it off there to beat out Robert Kenny for this restart.
Yeah, and also other news, Kevin Morin is going to actually go for a wave around here. Not a bad call, because we're going to be having a shorter type of a stage. Everyone still needs to pit, I believe. So this isn't a bad call by this 115 machine. Also an update for drivers in the back. Mike Tellier is not going to be able to finish out this race, has opted out to DNF from the race today. That 3 machine finishing back in 20th position.
It's a tough break for what is likely going to become the new points leader in Mike Tellier. Just a tough break. Like we said earlier, he's got 3 wins, so he is good to go. But the slump just seems to continue for the 3 of Mike Tellier. As you're going to look at this top 10 for this restart. Brandon King, Robert Kenny, Matt Dyer, Tyler Riggs, then Evan Coleman, Caleb Smith, Dylan Stipe, Spencer Hardison, Bronson Stafford, the pole sitter, and Deshaun Gorham. That's going to be your top 10 here when you'll have 18 cars on the lead lap. Justin Munsell is currently in the pits right now, trying to maybe service some damage from the wreck earlier. Tom Bourne's going to be the only car off the lead lap, so it's a tough one right now for the 54 of Tom Bourne. But, you know, with how he drives, should be able to get back on the lead lap in no time.
Yeah, it's surprising to see this 54 machine a lap down, but it's been a struggle trying to get the repairs done for himself. And looks like we're going to be going this time by a car. I'm going to keep my eye out for Travis Daly. He did it at Kansas, where he pitted early, took tires, won the stage. We just saw Robert Kenny do that. Will we see the 15 try something similar? Pace car is off, green flag, about to be thrown in the air.
89, good jump there in that for Brandon King. He gets away from everybody. Robert Kenny's going to have to deal with the 2 of Matt Dyer here heading into turn number 1 as they are side by side heading through 1. Matt Dyer in the preferred line. Evan Coleman going to try and follow suit behind them. Not a good restart for the 34.
Absolutely not. As he continues to drop back, you're starting to see a lot of other drivers got better runs through 1 and 2, and it's not a bad call to drop back. Just wait it out. Let yourself save the tires while the other cars push as hard as they want. As up front, it's King and Dyer pushing as hard as they can, and Dyer looks like he might be getting a run out of 4.
3 wide, though. Robert Kenny and Spencer Hardison spins off the nose of Bronson Stafford. Caution will wave.
And Spencer Hardison trying so hard in that 14 machine, and another week of spilling around, and they try to go 3 wide, and I think Spencer kind of just backed off, but Stipe might have affected the 14 a little bit, and Bronson just not aware that the 14 car was going to back off as much as he did, or might have just gotten such a run he could not slow down.
You see here on the replay here real quick here, second caution of the night, first for a non-stage incident. As you watch the 14 here, the 20 blinked for a minute, and then, yeah, the 14 backed off there, and the 61 really had nowhere to go, so I don't think you can really put much blame on Bronson Stafford. So the 14 goes for a spill into the grass, didn't really hit anything else, so maybe just repair the rear end and should be going. But for a guy that restarted inside the top 10, definitely not what you wanted to see.
Absolutely not. I mean, you're hoping to have a better run and a better restart, but spinning your tires is always a factor here. And yeah, it looked like the 14 car right before contact backed off just slightly, wasn't sure what the 20 was going to do, might have hesitated and really hurt that machine. And remember, we're now driving 2 laps 70 for these drivers. Some people feeling like, hey, I'll pit now, I can make it to the end.
You're going to see here the top 6 have stayed out. Brandon King, Matt Dyer, Evan Coleman, Caleb Smith, Dylan Stipe, and Deshaun Gorham. And then add Nathan Hall and Travis Daly to that picture as well. 10th on back, Robert Kenny, Bronson Stafford, Tyler Riggs, Justin Munsell, Shane Terrian, and others. They are going to come in and pit, top the car off of fuel, make sure they have it packed full, and
yeah, I think this is probably one of the better calls for these drivers is to come in and get fuel for themselves. I mean, you're good to the end. The question is, who's going to take tires and who's not? Looking at the drivers that came into the pits, looks like Allers is actually going to be one of those drivers that takes tires. This is going to be helping Tom Bourne because now he's going to be on the lead lap, and Mike Tellier has come back, still trying to get damage repairs after his spin that he had back in stage 1. So now we're going to have a total of 19 cars on the lead lap, and Justin Munsell still getting repairs done in that 98 machine. As we continue to wait and see how these drivers are going to react here. Interesting to look at the fact that right now, those, like you said, the front 10 have not, the front 9, didn't pit. They're feeling like if they can save their tires here on pit road, save their tires here, they can make it to the end by saving fuel. But this is such a risky call to try to save fuel while on pace laps instead of just coming in and confirming and be able to push as hard as you want. As the drivers continue on with the width they are, I'm interested to just look at how these drivers are going to react. Our front 4, they were looking very quick. Matt Dyer almost able to make the pass for the lead, but then that caution came out as we continue to wait for the drivers to go green. As drivers are getting ready to line up here, looks like the pace car lights are off. We're going to be going this time by Brandon King, going to be leading the charge. Matt Dyer, Evan Coleman, Caleb Smith, and Dylan Stipe going to be carrying your top 5. Deshaun Gorham's biggest surprise, able to move from 10th up to 6th place, but that's just because from 9th on back, they all came to the pits knowing that they were good on fuel if they pitted. As drivers getting ready to go here, we're driving to the end of lap 70. That's when stage 2 is going to come to a close. Robert F. Kenny able to get the win of stage 1 due to a bold call to go with tires. Pace car is off. We're going to be having a single file restart here as Brandon King giving us to the green as we take off. Stipe did not get going at all. He's actually going to be stacking up all the cars behind him as they go side by side, but our front 5 able to get going. As right now, Brandon King, a great launch for himself, but back around that 6th place position, that's when we're seeing the 15 of Daly as well as Gorham side by side. And you're starting to see that tightness just coming in, the 66 car drifting up, but Daly going to give room. Tyler Riggs ducking it down, going 3 wide here in the middle of the pack, trying to make as many moves as possible. That's going to be Bronson, Stafford, Hall, and Riggs side by side, trying to make the pass for 9th place. As in front of them, they're all starting to stall out. They got to be careful, got to give room. Hall now kind of drifts up to the 61, but they continue on driving as it's going to be Gorham on leading this pack, but Riggs on the inside. Really doing a great job looking at tires wise. Spencer Hardison in that 14 machine stuck on the outside. Freshest tires, also got some repairs done. We'll see if he can start making a lot of moves, but right now we're starting to see 5th on forward. They're pulling away. Also the battle for the lead. Here we come Dyer on the outside as the cars behind him still shuffling. 3, 4 wide back there for 5th to 8th place. As Dyer on the outside still trying to make the moves. Still side by side for the lead, and Dyer now up to the lead after a hard pass from the outside. Going to be pushing Brandon King now back to 2nd place. Question is, can these drivers that stayed out, didn't pit for fuel, can they save enough fuel while they're up front? The end of lap 70 is the marker they're going for. As we drop back for that battle for 7th place, Tyler Riggs, Bronson Stafford, these were cars that were battling for the lead in the first couple of laps of this race. Now they're battling for 6th place. Looking at other cars and the way they're moving, Travis Daly having huge issues for this 50.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the technical difficulty. Apologies for just the issues that just happened. Got those fixed, and we are ready to keep going here in the middle of stage number 2 right now. Just to try and catch you up on what you missed. Brandon King, he is your leader. Dylan Stipe, he is in the 2nd position. Evan Coleman 3rd. Matt Dyer 4th. And Tyler Riggs into the 5th position. Once again, I'm Carlos Zimmerman, Sam Dyer alongside of me. Sam, a very interesting stage 1, and so far an interesting stage 2. Pretty spread out through the field, only about the top 7 here in this lead group.
Yeah, we're starting to see drivers that really pushed extremely hard at the beginning of the stage 2. They're starting to lose their tires and starting to fade back. Matt Dyer led the first about 15 laps or so, and his tires have drastically dropped off. He's now dropping back to 4th place after leading those first 10 laps or so. Now, other drivers to keep our eyes on, Tyler Riggs, we know is good on fuel. The question is, the drivers that are around him, of King, Stipe, Coleman, Dyer, and also behind him of Smith and Gorham, they did not pit during that first caution we had in stage 2. So the question of can these drivers make it to the end here of stage 2, it's really questionable of who can really truly make it. We know Riggs can, but has everyone else saved enough fuel?
Do you see Brandon King still running up there at the front? Evan Coleman, he's up to 3rd. A good run for this man. Evan Coleman is so far tonight. The strategy working out very well for him. Thing I'm wondering is where is our stage 1 winner, Robert Kenny? There he is, way back in 16th right now. Not sure if he pitted while we were away, but he's right there with his luminary teammate in Justin Munsell, 16th and 17th, respectively, towards the back of this field.
Yeah, and both these drivers kind of faded back. Just let everyone else race their race. There was a little bit of confusion once they went green again, And a lot of the drivers that pitted to try to make sure they were good to the end, they have decided to really, it's so hard to make any passes that they've been struggling to make any moves forward. Like I said, a lot of cars got spread out due to the fact of drivers losing their tires, running too hard at the start. And some of these drivers still, they are waiting for tires at the end of this stage. So tires are going to be the biggest thing as we're marching 10 laps to go here in the rest of stage 2. Once we get to the end of lap 70, that's when we're going to be seeing these drivers have the stage win, who's going to be in the top 10, who gets those bonus points, and who doesn't. Because right now there is a battle for that 10th place position. It's going to be Bronson Stafford, Spencer Hardison side by side for 10th place.
There it is, Spencer. This is a little interesting seeing these two together because Spencer Hardison was the one that spun off the nose of Bronson Stafford. So something we want to watch here going forward, how these two are going to interact with each other. I'm sure there's no bad blood between them. It was pretty much a racing deal between the 61 and the 14, bringing out what was our second caution of the night, as they're just in front, behind actually, Philip Scott and David Duran. So this is going to be shaping up to be an interesting battle here for that 10th spot in the stage.
Yeah, and really it's all about who can get those stage points. They've been so important for these drivers, and for the drivers that don't have a stage win and the drivers that don't have a win, points is all that they need right now. There's a lot of drivers that are outside of the top 12 that have wins this season that are going to have, with those wins, make the playoffs. You got Shane Tarian, who's just made it into the top 12 here after last week's finish. He's inside, but you got Bronson Stafford, Justin Munsell. Those are two spots. If you're within the top 12 and you are not doing better than 10, you can find yourself being knocked out of the playoffs.
Here comes Spencer Hardison again to the inside of the 61 of Bronson Stafford, trying to complete this pass. He's going to stay to the inside here into one. Let's see who is much better through this corner. The 14 has the edge for the moment, but that 61 really good on corner exit so far tonight. So they're going to keep it side by side. Philip Scott's loving this so that he doesn't have to worry about either the 14 or the 61 for the time being. In the meantime, Nathan Hall, he's looming back here, 9/10 off of Spencer Hardison and Bronson Stafford right now, trying to get into that battle as well. At the front, Brandon King owns just a half of a second lead as caution flies.
Scott, as the A machine spins out of 4.
We just had it on them and we just switched away from them, and the 8 has gone around Philip Scott, who was running in 9th at the time, and has brought out our third caution of the night.
Yeah, looking at it, I think he bounced off the wall, and just the tightness of these cars later in a run with these tires bounces off the wall. And this comes at a time where I believe we might be going green with about 2 laps left. It may be a 2-lap shootout before the end of the stage.
He gets the wall there and then just spun it around. Nothing really he could have done other than to try and keep it off the wall, but that car looked like it just got so tight up against the wall, and that is going to hurt the number 8 of Philip Scott. The good thing for him, he'll likely stay on the lead lap. He'll just come down and get service to repair the right side of that machine. A tough break regardless for Philip Scott. Looking at the points tonight, if you look at it, the top 5 are the ones that have won. He's 9th on the grid right now for the playoffs, so this could hurt him if he can't rebound.
Yeah, this is really going to hurt him. He's someone that's needing to have a good run here, and he grazed the wall pretty hard, but luckily it didn't shoot him into the inside wall and hurting him anymore. Should still be workable for this 8 machine, but you really don't want any type of damage, especially with how aerodynamic this track is and how quick and how needed the draft is overall. But with this caution coming out, it's such a weird time. We're going to get clarification if this counts as the stage break, as we're going to be, I'm going to be messaging and trying to get the confirmation on this, but this is at a really weird time to have a caution.
Yeah, looking at it, when Brandon King hits the line here, it'll be lap 67 on the board. 4 laps to go in the stage. With how it plays out, you usually have, here come the lead lap cars now, and then the next time by you would see the lap cars, but then the pace lights would go out. So I'm thinking that we're going to be able to get back to green for maybe 2-lap shootout for the stage. As you see some cars come in, Dylan Stipe, David Duran, Tom Bourne, who got the lucky dog on the last caution, as we said right before we had the troubles. So that was, like I was trying to say, that caution really benefited that 54 as he's back on the lead lap. Shane Tarian, his teammate, he's in. Robert Kenny, he's in. and the 115 of Kevin Morin, the guy making his debut tonight. He is in as well, as we're going to wait and see from race control if this is going to be the stage break.
This is not going to be the stage break. We're going to have a quick couple of laps shootout, and then we're going to be having these drivers have a quick run. And so these drivers that are coming in, they're going for tires. And the leader of that group is going to be Shane Terrian, Stipe, Tom Bourne, Robert Kenny, who won our stage 1. These drivers are going to have much fresher tires. Most of them went for 4 tires. Shane Terrian went for 2. We'll see how this strategy works out for him. But the drivers that went for 4 tires, they're going to be cruising through this field so quick. The question is, how are these drivers going to have their restarts? We've seen a couple of drivers wheel spinning it, which has caused them to lose time. How well are these restarts going to go for them, and will it stall out the lane that's trying to move quick?
If I did the math right, the pace car light should go out this time by, and we'll go green with 2 laps left in stage number 2. And this is a really wonky looking top 10. Brandon King's your leader. Evan Coleman is second. Tyler Riggs, he's third. Then you got Deshaun Gorham up to fourth. Caleb Smith, he is fifth. Pace car lights are out. We'll go green at lap 69 of 120. And then Matt Dyer, Bronson Stafford, Spencer Hardison, Landon Allers, and then Nathan Hall. That's your top 10 because Philip Scott spun out of 9th place after hitting the wall. So that opened the door for a lot of drivers to peek in there. But Justin Munchel and Shane Terrian, they're going to be chomping at the bit there in 11th and 12th to try and get around the 28 and the 33 to get some points.
Just got word, Shane Terrian actually only went for fuel for that 83 machine. So he's going to be one of those drivers to watch out for that might get freight trained here with the drivers. So that just means that Stipe will be one of the first cars with the freshest tires here on this restart.
Brandon King on the season has 2 stage wins. To his credit, he's looking for win number 3, and that would be a big boost for him, a 10-point boost in the live points. That could put him at the top of the grid in terms of guys who have not won this season. It would put him 6th in the points on the playoff grid. So that could really benefit Brandon King if he can get it done. But he's got a couple hungry drivers right behind him in Evan Coleman, who would love to have a stage win. It would be something for him. He's another one who hasn't won a stage, and he's on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Tyler Riggs, same thing. Deshaun Gorham, Caleb Smith, all these guys have an opportunity to try and get around that really fast orange and silver number 89. Here we go, Sam. 2 laps to settle stage number 2. And the 89 is on the gas. Green flag back in the air. 52 left in the race as Evan Coleman nearly took the nose of the 26 off, trying to just get down there and block him, but that is going to cost him because that's going to allow the 89 of King to get away for the moment.
It's starting to look like a Christmas tree out here. Cars up front, they're getting single filed out while everyone else is fanning out behind them as drivers trying to make as many bold moves as possible as Robert Kenny leading the cars up with fresh tires, going far wide below the white line as they continue to move forward. Evan Coleman now going under our leader for the lead.
Here comes the 51 of Evan Coleman, Tyler Riggs. He's there as well. Coleman, I don't know if he had a good enough entry. He's going to hang on here to the bottom side of the 89. 89 slams the door down the front stretch. White flag in the stage. 1 lap to go. Tyler Riggs going to try and put his name in the hat here as well, as they are 3-4 wide behind them for those final few spots in the top 10 for the stage as they're side by side for second. Brandon King loves to see
Kenny
that.
and Dyer in contact. Dyer up into the outside wall as Kenny continues to loom on the high side. Coming down. There goes Smith and others. Yellow flag.
Yellow flies. Evan Coleman was in front at the time of caution, it appears. Gonna have to wait and see what the iRacing officials say. They might give it to Brandon King at the time of yellow, but a big wreck in turn number 2 and onto the backstretch.
Dyer got forced up into the wall, came down in front of Bourne, Gorham, and others. And I believe, man, that is a hard wreck for a lot of those drivers. Hardison, Hall was well involved in this thing. And that all stemmed from Kenny with those fresher tires trying to push up front as hard as he could in that 34 machine, and it just did not stick.
While we wait for official confirmation on the stage winner, let's go back and take a look and see what happened. A big one out of turn number 2 and onto the backstretch here on the final lap of the stage. Like you said, Sam, Robert Kenny just had a full head of steam. This stemmed from really essentially, we're going to go way back to the previous lap and what Robert Kenny was doing. You see the 3 wide battling here in front of him and behind him. He's going to stick it to the apron almost 4 wide underneath his teammate, the 98, the 28 of Nathan Hall as well. He makes it work and then had to really check up there for the 25 of Caleb Smith as well. But man, Robert Kenny with those fresh tires really made it work, passing about 7-8 cars in a matter of 2 turns.
Yeah, and rewatching the incident, it looked like Kenny was going to hold that inside line, hit a bump that just shot that 34 car up into the 2, and just stemmed and caused all the carnage for these drivers. And I believe that King was the stage winner, but we will talk to him after pit roads is done, as all these drivers coming in for service.
I'm going to take a couple different looks here. You saw in the live shot, Caleb Smith is another car that got turned around, I believe, off the nose of Bronson Stafford, actually. May not have been the case. We'll take a second look at this incident that, like we said, the 34 sliding up into the 2 of Matt Dyer. A little bit of net code happening there as well. These guys are running 4, nearly 5 wide, so there's really not much for these guys to really do, and just everything just broke loose there out of 2.
Yeah, there really wasn't much that the drivers on the back half of the field, after seeing Dyer get up in the wall, they couldn't go anywhere. I mean, they were so clustered in the back that once Dyer slowed down, there was nowhere for any of those drivers to go, and carnage just unfolded from there, as Deshaun Gorham looks like he might have missed pit box for himself in that 66 machine. We'll have to come back in, but for the drivers that did pit, looks like Dylan Stite going to be leading that charge. Looks like he might have went for fuel or 2 tires only for this 20 machine to put him in 4th place, as a lot of cars in front of him did not come into the pits.
As we saw that onboard there with Deshaun Gorham, he'll likely come back down to get another round of service. But yeah, look at this. The guy making his debut tonight, Kevin Morin, the one of the few that decided to stay out here under this caution period, our 4th one of the night for the wreck and the stage break. A bold move out of the 115.
It really is. And let's get a word, though, from our stage winner. That's going to be Brandon King.
Real quick, hey, Brandon, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Real quick here before we get back to green, a wild end to that second stage, and with where everything played out, you just held off the 51 of Evan Coleman. What's the plan here for the final few laps?
Same thing all race, just conserve these tires and be there at the end. Car's really good in the long run, so I feel like if this thing goes green, I think we have the advantage on that.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, final question for you before we let you go. It's looking like your car is extremely good on the long run. You feeling like you've got probably the best long run car?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, Brandon. Well, best of luck to you in the rest of the way. You're in the NSM room, correct?
Sir.
Alrighty, best of luck to you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here. Lap 74 going to go on the board. Kevin Morin and David Durand are going to lead us to the green flag here. Let's see how the young gun can hold off this hard crew as the green flag is back out. Pretty decent restart here for the 115, but didn't quite get away from the 24 and the 20, so his run at the front might be short-lived as they head through to turn number 1.
Yeah, right now this front row is kind of making me a little bit nervous due to the fact that they've got those older tires compared to the rest of the field, and we continue to watch as King is a driver who's got the fresher tires on the outside, can be making some moves. Who's going to go 3 wide, though, up front, because you know someone's thinking about it. Tyler Riggs at 29, but here comes King darting to the inside after getting by the 115, and now making a charge for the lead.
David Durand's run at the front lasted about maybe 300 feet as here comes the 89 of Brandon King. He's going to clear that 24 Napa machine. Trouble further back. Shane Terry and Robert Kenny were near up nearly into trouble. Looks like they keep it going. Everyone looks to be okay. Travis Daly, he is in the pits. But and meanwhile, at the front, it is just still some haywire going on. As Philip Scott, who spun to bring out our third caution of the night, he is rebounded all the way up to fourth, now trying to get third, and then trying to hold off the 26 of Tyler Riggs at the same time, but he can't get around the 115. He has to deal with the 26.
Yeah, Philip Scott, that is a very bold move on his part. He's going up against fresher tires, and with his older ones, he decides to try to block Tyler Riggs, who's been up front all race long. But man, that 24 car of Durant able to make the pass up front, as Tyler Riggs stuck battling for third place. King darting back and forth, trying to get back up front to the lead.
2 by 2 behind the 2 leaders. The 26 is going to fall back as contact nearly between both sets of cars. The 25 just saves it, and Bronson Stafford has to drive it way off the racetrack, but he should be able to bring it back up just fine. But near trouble for the top 5. Kevin Morin and Philip Scott made contact, and then Caleb Smith and Tyler Riggs both made contact. Caleb Smith definitely the non-benefactor there, all the way back to 8th after running in the 5th spot.
Yeah, right now, oh boy, the 115 trying to get out of the way, and it's just because of how loose he got. And this slight contact, we're seeing Philip Scott getting extremely aggressive here, trying to stay in the top 3. But here comes Tyler Riggs on the inside. We'll see if Riggs can stick it down there, as he's got the fresher tires as well as with King. And you're starting to see after about 3 laps, that advantage kind of drifts away for these drivers. As a little bit of contact, Scott and Riggs continue to bump, and it just looks like Philip Scott able to make it. He's trying to make any move he can to hold those positions. As looking now, Bronson and Munsell, they're close well on the inside.
Bronson Stafford now cracks into the top 5, still battling his luminary teammate in Justin Munsell. The 8 of Philip Scott trying to just make that car as wide as he can. Same for the 24 of David Durant, but Brandon King pulls the crossover into turn number 1 as they run up on the lap car. A lap machine here. I think that's the 15 of Travis Daly, who pit at the restart, but move the 89 back to the point with 43 laps to go.
Yeah, that's Travis Daly. He actually was caught up in an incident off of 4 when we went green on that first lap, and it's just been downhill for this 15 machine after we've gone green here at after the end of stage 2. And now everyone's trying to scatter around the 15 machine that you can obviously see low on power and losing a lot of ground. But up front, it's still Brandon King doing a great job, and Tyler Riggs, he's ducking and weaving and trying to deke out this 24 car, getting below him, now trying to pass for second place.
Yeah, he definitely deked them out on the front stretch. Durant he drove it dead left to block the 26 and try to break the draft. And it worked for a bit, but then Tyler Riggs pulled the crossover. Now what is the 26 going to do? He has to play defense now with that 24 of David Durant, as they were nose to tail down the backstretch. But for the moment, the 26 out of PRM, he maintains the second spot, as he's now going to try and set his sights on the 89 of Brandon King. But don't look now, that 24 is still looming there in third.
And a driver we haven't really talked about all race long, that's going to be Shane Terrian, up to 6th place. That 83 machine in stage 1 got caught up in some incidences that pushed him back all the way to the end of the field. Now he's trying to make a charge forward. Update on cars that are in the back, as right now the battle for the lead is Tyler Riggs to the inside, trying to make a pass here on King.
Down the backstretch they go. David Duran watches the 89 and the 26 battle. Still going to be side by side here into turn number 3. The 26 clears the number 89, a new leader at the front here at Auto Club, Tyler Riggs. When you get the line, 40 laps to the finish of this one, as man, oh man, the action is just heating up all over the place. These guys have not really fallen off of each other. The top 10 all within a second and a half of each other.
That update I was talking about, Deshaun Gorham is officially out. He is logged out of the server and is done. Mike Tellier has come back after getting damage repairs. He is right now running in 20th place, 40 laps down, trying to get at least a couple of positions before this race is over.
Brandon King trying to make that car very wide to hold off that 24 of David Duran. Reminder, David Duran and Kevin Morin, the two that stayed out on that front row, they were about 5 laps longer into the run than everybody else out there on the racetrack. So this is going to be something to watch here. What's going to have to benefit these guys is they're going to have to try and stretch it or hope for a caution to come out and then bring everyone down with them to be back on an even level playing field. So at lap 82, we're looking at about, we're getting close to that window, Sam.
Yeah, the window these drivers are looking for is around lap 90 to, around lap 91. Once they get to that window, they're good to make it to the end here on fuel-wise. But do you want to pit that early? I think a lot of these drivers are thinking about pushing it as far as they can go, which that would be another 20 laps. Around lap 100 is the marker that most of these drivers are thinking about, just to have the freshest tires at the end of this race.
3 wide, just on the back end of the top 10, Caleb Smith, Evan Coleman, and Bronson Stafford. This is something we've grown familiar with tonight as the 51 is on the way extreme inside. He's going to benefit. Bronson Stafford's going to slip back. Caleb Smith is going to hold on to the 7th spot, but man, oh man, near trouble there on the front stretch and into turn 1. Shane Terrian, in the meantime, battling his teammate in Justin Munsell, moved that 83 up to the 4th spot, our biggest mover since the restart.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that Caleb Smith and Bronson Stafford incident, both of them were just body slamming one another. Is now Evan Coleman going to be jumping under Munsell here, and now we're going to see Terrian blocking the 51, not allowing him to carry that momentum. But coming into turn number 1, I don't think he can stop him. The 51's just too strong at the moment.
Man, look at this 51 go. Haven't really seen much of him, especially on the road courses lately, but when we get back to the ovals, this 51 can fly. On the racetrack right now, he's running times close to our leaders, around about the same hundredths of a second. So that 51 definitely has speed. Can he translate it to a victory? He's in 5th right now, surrounded right now in a luminary sandwich of the 83 and the 98.
But that battle for the lead, Brandon King under the 26 of Tyler Riggs. Brandon King trying to get back to the position that he wants to be, leading this race, pulling away, and hopefully has the best tires moving forward. And that's really something that's been helping this 89 machine. He talked about it during our interview after getting the stage win. And it's the fact that he has been able to save his tires, and that's the goal for this team. Save the tires, have the best tires at the end, and that's why you're seeing him up front at the moment.
David Duran, give a call to him, just hanging in there. He has fallen off a little bit of our leaders, about half a second behind him now, but he's hanging in there in that 3rd spot, looking to try and stretch it to where he can pit with all these guys. That window starting to, it's about now 5 laps away now before these guys can pit and then make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think a lot of drivers are aiming for that marker. I think if anything, look at Durand. Durand really is the driver that I'm watching out for. He's going to be the first car that has to pit, as well as Morin in that 115 machine back in 10th place. Both those drivers are going to be pitting about 5 laps before everyone else, so they're looking around lap 95 as their marker to come into the pits.
It's the 89 now starts to pull away from Tyler Riggs. He has opened it up now over half a second now. That is interesting to see. That tells you Brandon King was saving up and now is going to start trying to pulling away. And that's going to mean one big thing as he blinks for a minute. It's going to mean that pit stop needs to be picture perfect for Brandon King.
First car into the pits. It's going to be Nathan Hall in that 28 machine back in 16th position. First car on the lead lap is going to most likely become the first car 1 lap down, as that right now would be Matt Dyer. But up front, still running hard, and it's really that battle for 5th place. And for 4th place, Shane Terrian, Munsell, Coleman, and Smith. These 4 cars staying right on top of one another and not really giving any breathing room as well for the battle back for that 11th position, where you've got yourself with, that's actually for 9th position with Morin, Stipe, and Bronson Stafford.
Kevin Morin doing a good job holding his own up here amongst the faster machines. Like I said, him and Durand both on the same pit cycle, as the 20 will set him up for a pass. Meanwhile, battle is on for 5th. Here comes Evan Coleman back on the number 98 of Justin Munsell. And then he's going to try and bring Caleb Smith with him, but move the 51 as he clears the 98. The battle will be for 6 between the 98 and the 25. As they come to the line, it is as the leaders have crossed the line, lap 88 on the board, 30 now, lap 89, 32 to go in the race.
Yeah, it's clocking away. These drivers are about to be 1 lap away from really the furthest that they can push it if they're in save mode and in the draft. But like I said, these drivers, 90 laps. It's going to be close for a lot of them if they want to pit here on lap 90. I think lap 91 to 92 is the better position for them. Brandon King now up to over a second lead at one moment there on Tyler Riggs. King's just doing a fabulous job saving those tires like he said he was going to do. He's running about a tenth faster than what Riggs is doing and continues to pull away.
Brandon King puts lap 90 on the board, 31 laps to go. He is in control. We're going to pause for 30 seconds, and here's a word from Rapid Fired Pizza, but you're not going to miss a thing as we go side by side. Back here at the Auto Club Speedway, 30 laps to go here in Fontana, California. The sun, typically out in Southern California, but it has been down for the majority of this race, giving a lot of grip to these drivers as Brandon King continues to lead as we go through the field. Tyler Riggs, he runs in second. What a run here for Personette Riggs Motorsports. Lost Joseph Causey earlier on in the race, but Tyler Riggs, he has been bringing the flag of PRM so far. He is in second, poised to try and get a top 5 tonight, trying to go for the win. David Duran holding his own there in the third position. A good run for the 24 out of Waffle Motorsports, but he has got a hungry group of cars breathing right down his neck. Shane Terrian right there for Luminary. His teammate Justin Munsell, he is 7th. And then Evan Coleman and Caleb Smith right there in the middle of these guys in 6th. And 7th, Brandon King continuing to open up a lead. He is starting to run up here on the, I believe that is the 15 again of Travis Daly, who has just had a bad night, has just gone worse. He's down 18th and soon to be 3 laps down to the leader, Brandon King.
Yeah, it looks like Morin just continuously dropping back, and those older tires is what's really hurting that 115 machine. But still, that gap that's going on for our leaders is crazy to see as Durand is getting caught up, Shane Terrian, and those 2 CEM machines of Coleman and Smith following suit.
Durand holds about 0.6 of a second right now, and really we haven't seen anyone outside of Nathan Hall make a duck into pit lane in terms of the lead lap machine. So if they run about another 5 laps or so, when I'm expecting them to probably come in, they will definitely be good to the end of this one, as Shane Terrian starting to bear down on that number 24, making that 4-car pack into a 5-car pack, as they're going to try to maybe link up and try to run down the 26 possibly, or maybe just try to link together and get ready for this stage break, as here comes Justin Munsell to the inside of Caleb Smith once again.
Yeah, and Munsell going to continue to just try to push these guys back, and he's done it a couple of times already, pushing Smith back as well as Coleman a couple of times. They continue to just go back and forth as these cars now in line, and it's caught up to Durand, and Durand now going to be under fire. Shane Terrian to the inside of that 24 machine, and you just see that they wiggle so much down the straightaway. Auto Club is so bouncy. There's so many holes that these drivers have to deal with. We saw that with earlier with the incident between Robert Kenny and Matt Dyer. Kenny hit a bump and it launched his car up into the 2 machine, and we're starting to see it even on the front stretch of cars just getting a little bit too close at times, and a bump could shove you right into the other car.
David Duran sticks it to the middle of this group, putting a wedge between the 83, the 51, and the 98, but now Duran's just going to get shuffled out and is going to start falling back. That tire fall off starting to happen, and you make a good point, Sam, with this track. This track is incredibly abrasive, and it just takes the life out of your tires after, like we've said earlier on, about 5 laps, your tires start feeling it, but then you're really now starting to see it out of the 24 and David Duran as he slides back to 7th. And his buddy Kevin Morin, that had also was on that same pit cycle, he's into the pits now, and he'll fall a lap down.
Yeah, Morin is now inside the window where he is good to make it to the end. He could have tried to push it a little bit further, but it's safer to just try to make sure that you don't run out of fuel. And also, Morin was kind of in the mixture of a lot of cars that were passing him, so just get out of the way so you weren't going to be trapped on the high side when you needed to come in.
He is back on the racing surface right now, trying to stay that first lap car 1 lap down. Matt Dyer's, though, working his way through 1 and 2, so it's likely that Dyer will take that spot back. That would be the 15th position there for the 2 machine, but actually it's looking like that Morin might be able to hang on to it here unless he can't get up to speed in time, as he had to deal with a couple cars of Tom Bourne and Landon Allers. That was close with the 115 and the 33. I think the 33 was trying to pit there, so some miscommunication between the 115 and the 33. And I'm looking at it here. Tom Bourne in 13th, granted, on the lead lap, but not what we were expecting today for the 54.
No, he's been caught up in a couple of wrecks. You know, back on stage 1, he was involved with Justin Munsell, and then he was also involved with that incident with Dyer and Kenny, and it just has not been the day that Tom Bourne was looking for. He was hoping for a lot of points, getting stage points, as Landon Allers about to get out of his pit box. A lot of these drivers are going to be pitting. They're going to be going for fuel and tires. We'll see. The tires have been seeming to be very important for these drivers. If you're short pitting, like Robert Kenny showed us, if you pit early, you are actually able to gain a lot of time on the drivers around you, and the tires start to equal out pretty quick on these for these drivers. So I'm interested to see who's going to short pit and try to take that advantage of the cars that are up front and within a couple of seconds.
These guys continue to do battle here in just inside the top 5 and just outside of it. Evan Coleman now is the leader of this line. He is in 3rd. Man, what a run it has been for that 51. A fellow green car right behind them, the 83 green and black machine there. As you see, Justin Munsell still trying to battle the 25 of Caleb Smith. A rivalry starting to brew between those two. They've been going back and forth for at least the last 10 laps or so. Brandon King still in control of this thing. He is going to come around. When he comes around, lap 100 will go on the board. There'll be 21 laps to go. Tyler Riggs is way behind them right now, 2 seconds. And it's only a matter of time before Evan Coleman and them reel them in, but they should pit before that happens.
Yeah, we're about a lap away from drivers that are going to be in the short pit window. They're going to be trying to undercut some of these drivers by pitting early, like we're seeing Tom Bourne and the 54 machine. He just came into the pits. But for the drivers that are in the top 8 to top 7, they're going to be thinking about, I have to stay as long as possible. I don't want to find myself under 1 lap down when a caution comes out, or if a caution comes out. But a lot of cars coming into the pits as Durand, as well as Stipe and Scott come into the pits.
Here come the short pitters as lap 100 flashes up on the board. They're going to likely, they're going to try and hang on to the lead lap. It's not going to be likely with Brandon King just running so fast out there right now. Brandon King at the moment working through 3 and 4. These guys barely get into their stalls. So they're going to fall a lap down. But the good thing for them is a caution isn't likely. Everyone pretty spread out outside of our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place drivers. So they guys should have that short pit strategy work to their favor, as it looks like Shane Terrian has ducked out of that group. He's into the pits, but by himself.
Yeah, and honestly, you can drive by yourself. You're going to be running just as fast as these drivers that are in a pack, so it's not a bad call to come in by yourself here. It's not as important as it was at Michigan or other super speedways where the draft is heavily influenced at a racetrack. Yes, this track is massive and the draft helps you, but in some ways it actually hurts you entering these corners where you'll carry too much speed, and then you'll have to back off way more than you really want to coming into these corners.
Watch the Shane Terrian pit stop. A 2-tire stop for the 83 of Shane Terrian. He did not take for a 9.9 second stop. Bold move likely out of that 83 of Terrian.
King's in, Munsell's in, give Tyler Riggs the lead. Here comes Bronson Stafford and Hardison following suit after Munsell.
There is the guy we're going to watch here. Brandon King. He gets into his stall fairly clean. He is starting to get the service done. Let's see. Does he go 2 tires like Terrian, or does he go the full 4 the rest of the way? He is going to go full 4 tires. So this is the guy to watch here. We're going to see the top 4 out on the racetrack right now are the only ones that have not come down and made a stop. And as soon as I say that, here comes Tyler Riggs. Here comes Evan Coleman. Here comes Caleb Smith. And then likely behind them will be the 34. No, he doesn't. Robert Kenny stays out there with 18 to go.
He's going to be trying to push it as far as he can go. Looking at the lap times that these drivers are putting down, they're running way faster than our leader right now, Robert Kenny. Kenny trying to get laps led and also just trying to stay out a little bit further, have that slight advantage over everyone else. He's gone for the advantage of pitting early and being the only car with fresh tires. Now he's trying to have the freshest ones moving forward. But there's only going to be less than 20 laps to go when he pits. does he have enough time to even rebound from all the time that he's going to lose from the drivers that have undercut him so far?
Watching the 34 here, should come to pit this time by. Here he comes. That number 34, your stage 1 winner, as he's going to get it woed down to 60 miles an hour and coming in a little bit hot there, Kenny, but he gets it woed down. I want to point something out. Shane Terrian passed Brandon King here on this, but they're not done yet. The 89 and the 83, they are battling. You are watching the battle for the lead right now, folks, down the backstretch.
This should be for the battle for the lead if they can get past Robert Kenny, but the way that they're racing, they might not make it to that point. They've confined themselves wrecking each other. Shane Terrian not afraid to put down a block on that backstretch. Front stretch's a different story. You get a little bit looser here. It's a bank and it's a little bit of a swooping straightaway, but so far the 83 machine still holding strong over the 89.
They passed the 34 of Robert Kenny, so you're watching the battle for the lead now. Brandon King and Shane Terrian. Terrian is winning that battle for the moment. Justin Munsell, Tyler Riggs and company, they are way behind them, over 3 seconds. We'll see if they're able to run them down as they head down the back straightaway. Munsell, Riggs, Coleman, and Durand are of this group. As there we go, they continue to battle side by side. Here comes the 89 to the outside of the 83 of Terrian down the front stretch.
Brandon King, he's got the fresher tires. He's got 4 fresh ones compared to Shane Terrian's 2 fresh tires, and that's a huge advantage to have here. You're able to make that outside groove work like we're seeing right here. Brandon King still stuck on the high side. 3rd groove when entering, and it might be too far out, but can he carry that momentum coming out of the corner? Shane Terrian moves up, tries to put on a block. He's got to come down, but he's not going to be able to do it.
Here comes that big crossover move out of Brandon King. Terrian trying to hold his own right now. Could he try to burn off a lot of speed of Brandon King, make sure that King uses up his stuff so his teammate can come into the picture? I don't know if it's going to work out, but move the 89 to the lead. 15 laps to go here at Auto Club. The battle is still not done.
Shane Terrian is pushing King to the inside as much as he can, trying to wear and tear, making these cars go into lines that they usually don't go into, trying to figure out how to really outsmart the other driver come to these corners. It's kind of a
we got loose.
Boy.
King got a little loose there through 1 and 2. That's going to open the door for Terrian to fight back on the outside. As when they come around, there'll be 14 to go. The battling continues between the 83 and the 89. And Justin Munsell is just trying his best to try and run these guys down, but it just might be too little too late.
Yeah, right now Munsell is about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than what Brandon King and Shane Terrian were running, but that was when Shane Terrian was pressuring. How quick is King going to be now that he really doesn't have to worry about the 83 anymore, trying to battle back, unless he gets to draft on the backstretch, because this 89 machine just looks so much faster through the corners, and that's where he's carrying all that speed.
And it looks like the 83 likely has conceded that battle. It's going to allow the 89 to get away for a little bit. Last time by, Munsell ran a 42.5. That time by, King ran a 40.39. Let's look at it this time as the pressure is no longer there. Does the 89 have the stuff here to just bring it home for these final 13 laps? We're going to watch here at the line. King runs a 42.1. Munsell runs a 40.36. The King 89 much faster.
Yeah, and a driver that's running faster than the cars in front of him, that's going to be Evan Coleman. The biggest issue, though, for Coleman is the fact that he is almost 4 seconds back, and he's running at a time. He's running only about 1/10 to 2/10 faster, and there's coming to only 10 laps to go. The chances of seeing Evan Coleman run our leaders down, just not looking possible unless a late caution comes out. And really looking at the battles that are going on, there's only a handful of battles that are close enough to maybe see a caution unless we see someone self-spin.
And that's what's going to be the saving grace at this point for everyone behind Brandon King. They're going to need a yellow to try and run down and get around the 89 of Brandon King. That's the last thing King wants to see. The gap for Coleman, 3.8 seconds that time by. He's still 1/10 quicker than the leader, but he's not ticking off enough time. He needs to get around the 98 of Munsell and get a little bit of that clean air that is until he gets to the 83. It's just going to be really hard for Evan Coleman to try and get around these two guys and then run down the 89 of Brandon King.
Yeah, it's looking kind of out of a chance here. Possibly Coleman could be aiming for a top 3. I mean, with this pass on Munsell, puts him in 3rd place. I mean, with how far out I see Shane Terrian is, it's going to be close if Evan Coleman can run down this 83 machine, but it's going to take a lot of effort just to get to that point. And I think Brandon King, as long as he keeps hitting his marks, he's got this race in the bag.
Next time by, it'll be 10 laps to go. Evan Coleman has got the lead down to 3.5 seconds. He's ticked off 4/10 since the last lap. It's just not, I don't think it's enough to try and run him down. She's still going to get around the 83, Shane Terrian, and then he can worry about the 89. The 89, like you said, Sam, just needs to hit his marks, but he's running up on some lap traffic here. Hopefully they'll just get out of the way. That's the 33 of Landon Allers.
Yeah, Landon Allers, who we've seen have a lot of issues running back in 16th position right now. Last car on the lead lap. And, Landon Allers, we've seen him have pace. He was very quick at Kansas, but ever since Kansas, it's just been a struggle for this 33 machine. He was just trying to find the setup to really help himself be a contender in these late races. And right now, I think that's the biggest thing. This is an open setup league. A lot of these teams have setup makers that spend all week trying to get the best setup for the team. And you're seeing it right now. Brandon King, that squad has just been crushing it, having so much speed for the Crownless Kings. And right now, Brandon King doing a great job trying to get his first win of the season. Already had 2 stage wins coming into this race. Add another one onto that one. Total of 3 stage wins. And trying to get his first win of the season, which would lock this 89 machine into the playoffs. But still a lot of racing. There's some battles that are going on around 10th place. Robert Kenny able to make a pass there up into the top 10. This 34 machine, last car to pit. He's got the freshest tires, but too far back at this moment to make a pass for the lead, but maybe a chance for at least 9th place.
I'd hate to rain on Brandon King's parade, but Evan Coleman is coming. He has cut the lead to 2 seconds with 8 laps to go. The pace has picked up for Evan Coleman. I don't know if King is backing off right now because the gap between them, Coleman's running 0.5 of a second faster laps than the 89. Did the 89 use all his stuff? Because now the 89 and the 51 are in the same picture.
I think he might be just saving for the 5 laps to go and then finally make a push. Evan Coleman and Matt Dyer were on the similar setup, and we saw Matt Dyer pull out to a pretty good lead during stage 2, and then he just dropped off like a rock. I wonder if Coleman is doing the same thing Dyer was doing, just push as hard as you can, but it might be too early to make this push.
He's hovering around 2 seconds flat. I don't know if King is sensing that impending pressure as the gap is starting to grow again. The gap now 0.2 that time by 41.13 for Coleman, and then 41.32 for Brandon King. 7 laps to go. Coleman again in the same picture as Brandon King. Does he have anything for that number 89?
Well, also another factor that might have helped out Evan Coleman to try to run up on King is the fact that there was a lap car that slowed down King slightly for that lap, where we saw Coleman cut it down by 0.5 second. At this moment, coming across the line, it's going to be a 41.1 for Brandon King and a 41.2, running a little bit slower as Evan Coleman, and he needs the speed. I think Brandon King might have hurt us because he's taken off like a rocket ship with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I think he definitely hurt us because he is starting to take off now and try to break away from that 51. So now the caution is just what's gonna have to happen for Evan Coleman to try and go for this win. In the meantime, that top 5, it's shaping up. Justin Munsell, Tyler Riggs is cascaded back to 4th. Might fall to 5th by the end of this one, but it's Shane Terrian that's behind him, so he may not have to worry about much. He'll settle in probably for a 4th place finish. 5 laps to go for the 89 of Brandon King. With a win, it locks him into the playoffs, and it's going to add his name to the list of drivers who have made the playoffs. Mike Tellier, Shane Terrian, Justin Munsell, and Bronson Stafford. Can Brandon King do it in 4.5 laps?
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye out on this battle for 3rd place. Tyler Riggs, he's got the 1 lap fresher tires than Justin Munsell, but right now, it looks like Riggs might have used up his tires trying to just catch up to this battle that was looming for 3rd place. But really, Evan Coleman, he tried his best, but it's not looking great for this 51 machine who, like I stated, the setup is great for about 4 to 5 laps when you just push as hard as you can, and then it just drops off. It doesn't look like Justin Munsell's gaining up on Coleman, but Coleman is not gaining on King anymore as Brandon King continues to pull away. And this is a great showing for Brandon King. I mean, he looked great back at Dover and then just has been kind of spotty the last couple of weeks. It looks like he's finally hitting his mark. With this being the 5 races to go, for these races, including today until the playoffs, it's a great time to start hitting your mark.
You have a few couple of tough tracks going forward, Pocono and then Bristol, then Texas, and then Richmond on January 3rd to close out the regular season. So if there was a time more than anything for Brandon King to try and get a win, today was the day to do it. He won stage 2. He couldn't get stage 1. Robert Kenny playing the strategy card, taking that one. But ever since stage 1, it has been all about that number 89 of Brandon King. The gap back over 3 seconds now on Evan Coleman. Brandon King, he's got the cruise control button on, and he is ready to head to victory lane in 2 laps.
Yeah, coming across the line, about to make it 2 laps to go. There's some drivers out in this field that were hoping for better days. Philip Scott, Tom Bourne, Matt Dyer, and also Mike Tellier. They were looking for great days for themselves, and also Joseph Causey, but they just weren't able to survive after how abrasive, how aggressive this race has been. Brandon King so far looking great. 2 laps to go, and Tyler Riggs has dropped back. He's spun out coming out of 4. He's on the inside grass. No yellow flag. We stay green as Brandon King is hoping he can get to the white flag. Then the next flag would end this thing.
Still off the racing surface is the 26 of Tyler Riggs. No yellow has been thrown. He is out of the danger, it appears, as he's on the apron now trying to, well, he's kind of on the racetrack too. He's got to be careful, but it looks like Brandon King, he's going to make it. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go here tonight at Auto Club.
Brandon King, just hit your marks. You've got 4 corners into 1. This 89 machine been waiting all season long. Race 11 looks like it might be the key for Brandon King to lock himself into the playoffs.
Down the backstretch comes the number 89 Chevy Camaro, all decked out in orange of Brandon King. He did very well at Dover, but couldn't close the deal. But now, like Sam said, at race 11 of 20 on the season, he finds the right moment to bring it to victory lane with the tough tracks coming. Checkered flag is in the air. Brandon King finally gets it done, and it's a win for the 89.
He might be a part of the Crownless Kings, but add a ring to Brandon King as he has got the win. He's now got a chance to battle for that championship in the playoffs. He was looking great to just point his way in, but now confirmation for Brandon King in this 89 machine. Looking back, Evan Coleman going to get 2nd place. Shane Terrian going to get 3rd. But Tyler Riggs, that was hunting for a top 3 finish with that spin out of 4. We're going to have to take a look to see what exactly happened because there might have been some slight contact between the 26 and maybe some others.
As the 89 is going to get ready to celebrate, we will take a look back and see what happened to the 26. Tyler Riggs got a buckle on the hood. As well, was poised for a top 3, as I mentioned. But
oh, yeah. It was between Justin Munsell and Tyler Riggs. They made contact out of 4. It looked like Munsell might have came down on Tyler Riggs, which just was a chain reaction, taking out both drivers.
Looking at it here as they roll through 3 and 4, 26 washes up, 98. Yeah, the 98. Oh, wow. Yeah, he just came down. I don't know if his spotter cleared him or not. Ooh, pancakes. The wall there, right next to the scoring pylon in the infield for the 26 of Tyler Riggs. A hard hit. But, man, that's a little chippy there, Sam. But everything goes on. Justin Munsell held on for 4th, but Tyler Riggs is going to be the really hurt one here, falling all the way to 14th. Last car on the lead lap to finish.
Yeah, Brandon King gets the win as we'll take a look here at the final results. It's been a wild race for a lot of these drivers. Evan Coleman showed pace, showed speed, and tried to run down the 89 machine, was not able to do so. And then you've got Shane Terrian, Justin Munsell, Caleb Smith, Spencer Hardison, Robert Kenny, Bronson Stafford, Stipe, and Durand going to be your top 10.
Rest of the cars on the lead lap, Philip Scott, Tom Bourne, Kevin Morin doing a pretty good job in his debut race, coming home 13th. Like we said, Tyler Riggs 14th. Cars off the lead lap, Landon Allers, Nathan Hall, Matt Dyer, Travis Daly, and then the troubles earlier on for Mike Tellier cost him 19th for him. Deshaun Gorham wrecked out as well in 20th. And then Joseph Causey had some issues earlier on in this one that kept him out of the race, and then Justin Belmonte will actually be credited with 22nd as he did not take the green flag for this race. As we welcome you to the FRN post-race wind down, getting ready to talk to our top three. Brandon King getting the win, Evan Coleman getting in second, and Shane Terrian coming home third. Let's talk to the third place driver, Shane Terrian in the 83 for Luminary Racing. Hey Shane, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
I got you.
What a ride for you! It was looking like you were falling back with that two-tire strategy call. Not a bad one. And then the drama happened in front of you, and it landed you in third place. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Well, first off, we were so off on the setup this week. Yeah, that was a struggle. But yeah, the two-tire stop, I took it. I had an extra set. I think I'm the only one that had an extra set, so I was hoping for a yellow. If there was a yellow, I was winning this race, but couldn't get it. Yeah, it was just a tight setup for us. We could not figure out what we did wrong or what. The track cooled down, and it was just god awful for us. There's nothing we could really do.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, it was looking really rough for yourself. I mean, at the start of this race, it looked like you dropped all the way back to the last. It was just looking like it was so difficult just to make passes for anyone out there. Was it just because of how tight it was, or maybe it was just because the draft was tightening up the cars?
For us especially, it was hard to make passes because we had to let off earlier than everyone else. I think that's what was hurting us is they could drive through those corners way faster than us. And at the beginning of the race, our whole entire team didn't have enough tape, so we were dying on the straightaways. So you could pass if you can get underneath someone like Brandon King. He was on rails. I mean, Evan Coleman, like the CEM guys, they had a good long run pace. But yeah, you just didn't have it this week.
Sam, you got anything else for him?
I mean, Shane, we know that you guys on Luminary have been quick going to Pocono, which is going to be such a different aspect for these drivers. Is your goal now for the rest of the season, because you already have yourself with Justin, Bronson, and yourself locked into playoffs, is the goal to try to get the rest of the team locked in?
Yes, as you saw, I don't know if you caught me on the stage break. I slowed down, let Tom get by me to get points. I know Justin right now is running, but I think he's part-time, so I think that's still a spot for someone to grab if he ends up having to go back to work. But for the most part, yeah, I'm trying to get Tom and Kenny in. It sucks what happened with Kenny and Dyer. I know Kenny was just trying to get as many points as he could. I don't know if Dyer pinched him, didn't know he was on fresh tires. I don't know, but that sucks for Dyer. But we'll deal with that afterwards. So, but yeah, trying to get them in the playoffs is our main goal right now.
Alrighty, Shane, again, a third place run for you tonight. Before we let you go this evening, anybody want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to Luminary guys, Bronson, Kenny, Bourne, Justin, and then, of course, our owner, Matt. Shout out to Bronson, though, for the setup. I mean, I know it was off, but, he did his best. And you guys were broadcasting, and then, Evil Controllers and the rest of our sponsors.
Alrighty, again, third place run tonight for the 83 of Shane Terrian. Best of luck to you at Pocono. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll now bring in the number 51 out of CEM Motorsports, Evan Coleman, who brought it home second. Hey, Evan, this is Sam and Carlos in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yep.
What a run for you. I firmly believe that, if a yellow comes out, you might have had a shot at the 89, but it's not a win, but a second place run for you tonight in the 51 for CEM. Just give me your thoughts, man. How'd the race go for you?
It went well. I didn't really have too much practice here, so I know I'm not quick as like the guys in Luminary and Shane and all of those guys, and I kind of use those guys as benchmark. So I was like, I kind of do kind of like what Red Bull does in F1. Like, I don't really focus on quality so much. I try to focus on the race. And when I did that, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can see throughout the times that I could just do things that other cars couldn't. And the only real mistake I made was at the end of the second stage, where I forgot to put my tires back on after taking them off, because I thought we were going to have to pit again. So that like moved me back down the grid, because I was staying at pit road longer than everybody else. So, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I think me and the 89 probably had the best two cars, and like I felt like I could have beat them for the first stage. So we can all just say what if, but still a good race. I had fun passing all the cars I did.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, we heard it from Shane. You were on rails. Same with Brandon, and you guys were just cruising through the field. Was it just because you guys were saving your tires so much better than the rest of the field, or do you feel like that was just mainly the setup just working so great for you guys?
A little bit of both. Like early on, I knew everybody. I didn't know what people's like were capable of, so I just didn't qualify, and then like kind of just felt out who was fast, who wasn't fast, kind of who I needed to stay in front of, who I need to be like, aggressive with, so I can get them out of the way. But it was like, yeah, it was mostly the setup. Like I got it from Matt, and big shout outs to our chief engineer Matt. He kind of sent me a setup, but I kind of went into it like I know I'm going to be in traffic, so let me make the car looser than what it should be. So then when the tires get old and when I save them, I can just go. And then when everybody's pushing and everybody's sliding up to the top of the track, as you can see, like I was like a lane and a half lower than everybody. So now I'm getting a better run, and I just just fly by people.
Now, Evan, as I try to do a little bit of math here, with the absences tonight of Nick King and Caden Tufts, and then with where Tom Bourne finished out, it'll push you up to 16th in points. It's looking like here as you're not starting to close in and knocking on the door of trying to point your way into the playoffs. Is the push on right now for you to try and point your way in?
When I joined, I was really just, trying to just hone in my skills of just, being a better racing driver. I was just trying to be, work on being aggressive without wrecking people, just, knowing what I can and can't do. I wasn't really focusing on points too much. I was just focusing like making a setup, learning that. But now that you told me this information, I might as well make a push for it. I mean, if I'm this close, I mean, why not try?
All right, Sam. Final thoughts for Evan?
Yeah, I mean, Evan, we're going to Pocono. How are you feeling about going to the Tricky Triangle next week?
It's going to be a matter of who picks what corner around their setup to be good at. There's 3 corners, each one of them very difficult. It's really going to be a battle of setups and technique really around there. It's almost like what you're going to see here tonight, like you saw here tonight. Who has the setup, who saves tires. It's like with this package, it's just the same thing almost every week. But I mean, at the same time, you never know who's going to have their setup dialed in or who's going to know the strategy. So it's always going to be interesting to watch.
Alrighty, Evan. Again, a second place run for you. Before we let you go this evening, the floor is yours for shoutouts.
Just everybody at Kim, the chief engineer, Matt Dreyer. I'm pretty sure Sam knows him very well. Malik Ray for being a good influence and teaching me how to drive, and it's pretty much it. It's really a small circle of guys.
Alrighty, again, a second place run tonight for Evan Coleman. Best of luck to you at Pocono. We'll see you then, man. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Alrighty, let's bring in the man of the hour, the number 1 man tonight, Brandon King in the 89. Hey, trying to get him in here. Hey again, Brandon. This is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
What a run for you tonight, man. Dominating basically from the end of stage 2, even before then, all the way to the end of this one, picking the right strategy, and it brought you home, man. Give me your thoughts. First win of the year. You came so close at Dover, and but you finally get it done here in race 11.
Yeah, you got that right. It's about time. I've screwed up too many times this year. Gave a few races away that I thought we really could have won, but man, this car was amazing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, you looked so quick out there. Were you surprised by the change up by some of the other drivers and the strategy calls that they threw out? I mean, we saw Shane go with 2 tires there instead of 4, and then you just pulled away from the rest of the field when you came into the pits. Were you kind of surprised the fact that no one else was as close as you thought they were going to be?
I was a little surprised on that last run. I thought more guys would try to like short pit or throw the 2 tire strategy, but honestly, I felt confident in any decision I made because the car was just so good that even if they did short pit me a little bit, I truly felt confident that I could just drive straight back up there and take the lead from them.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, looking at the way that the race went for you, we were seeing that Evan Coleman was running you down. At what point did you recognize, okay, I need to start picking up my pace to make sure he can't get up to me?
Well, honestly, to be quite frank, most of the runs I would part throttle it a little bit earlier on in the run, just trying to save the tires, because I knew once we got about halfway through the run, I could just take off. And every run, I just kept with the same strategy, and it worked out every single time.
Alrighty, Brandon, before we let you go, one question, and then we'll let you have shout-outs. You head to the Tricky Triangle next week, a very, very tough track. Evan Coleman made a good point. It's a matter of whoever's going to win next week is going to have a matter of how they do in each of the corners, whether which setup works for them in any of the corners. How are you going to attack the Tricky Triangle?
I'll probably take it just about like Indianapolis a little bit, because Indianapolis to me is a little bit similar to Pocono, not exactly, but I just try to make the car really good through the tunnel turn and turn 3. If you can nail that down, then we're gonna have a fast car, and I'm pretty confident in these NSM guys that we can come up with a good setup to be really fast there as well. And heck, maybe go back to back. Who knows?
Alrighty, before we let you go, as I said, the floor is yours for shout-outs.
Yeah, I'm just going to thank all my teammates, Need Speed Motorsports. And, of course, I got to thank all our sponsors that help make us be able to do this. Track Racer, Rep Sports, Raise Energy, Shady Rays, Butt Kicker, NSM Wraps, and Venom PC. And for anybody watching, check out needspeedmotorsports.com and Need Speed Motorsports on Facebook as well.
Alrighty, that was your race winner, Brandon King, in the number 89. A great run for you tonight, your first win of the year, and we can finally say it, man. You're into the playoffs.
Heck yeah, sounds fantastic to me. Let's go get it.
Alrighty, you have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you at Pocono.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thank you.
And let's head into the wrap-up now, Sam. What a race tonight. Brandon King, absolutely dominant in the back half of this race. You had your comers and goers throughout, but an incredible one tonight, and Brandon King came out on top.
Yeah, Brandon King really had the fastest setup, it looked like, compared to everyone else. The CEM Motorsports guys of Evan Coleman, Matt Dyer, and Caleb Smith, they looked quick as well. Luminary had their chances. But really, overall, I mean, Brandon King was very quick and surprisingly was just dominant, like you said there at the end. And now looking forward, I'm curious to see how well can Brandon King and that whole entire NSM crew make these setups moving forward through the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs.
We are still a few races away from that first playoff race at Kentucky. 4 races remain next week on December 6th, the same time, same great channel, 8 o'clock right here on the Flatout Racing Network. We're at the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. 3 corners, 3 tricky ones for these guys at the Clutch Drop Cup Series to try and tackle. Can Brandon King go 2 for 2, picking up the win tonight at Auto Club and then going out east to win at Pocono? You'll have to wait and see. 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, right here on FRN. Sam, always a pleasure to have you in the booth. I believe you're going to be back for one more race of the Slipstream Formula One Championship tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a lot more racing action throughout the week. We got Slipstream tomorrow night. Believe that it's looking like AlphaTauri going to be winning the Constructors Championship for that series. Bronson Stafford won the Drivers Championship a couple of weeks back. And then on Tuesday night, we're also going to be having ourselves the G-Force ARCA Series. And then on Wednesday night, we're also going to be having the SARG Super Speedway Series at Daytona for their 10th race in their playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch all the different racing action throughout the week. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to broadcast it. It's going to be a fun one, Carlos.
And you can catch all of it right here on the Flatout Racing Network YouTube channel. Special thanks to everyone who makes FRN happen, Matthew Rodriguez, Seth Cole. But for Sam Dyer, I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Thanks so much for joining us once again. Brandon King finally gets the monkey off the back and takes a win here in the Clutch Drop Cup Series. He's into the playoffs, joining that illustrious field. Good night from Fontana. We'll see you in Pocono next week. Have a good night, everyone.